All right, y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Okay, so you guys can already tell, probably by the thumbnail and probably by what you're seeing right now, this is a different kind of video, at least a different kind of camera angle. So today I'm gonna be talking about what to use for recovery as far as physical training. So of course, people think about the military, they think about people in the military, and they think about physical fitness, they think about doing all this crazy PT as far as doing all these hikes, carrying all this weight, doing all this crazy stuff that's rough on your body. And people generally think, especially with like the US Marine Corps, something that I've seen a lot, is they think the best way to approach physical training or trying to join the military is just by punishing your body with all this crazy stuff like let's run 5 miles every single day, even though I just started running like 2 months ago, or let's do these crazy long ruck marches with like 80 pounds of weight on your back, or let's wear helmets, let's wear all this crazy stuff on our back that we're not used to, just to get used to the weight training. And of course that's definitely an approach to take if you're going to be going towards something, whether it be like the Royal Marine Commandos and you're just trying to prepare yourself with getting used to the weights. If you're trying to join special operations, if you're trying to do something where there's going to be an extended load on your back or extended load on your body in general, you're going to want to try and do stuff to acclimate yourself. But the biggest thing that people tend to overlook is the whole recovery aspect, even the warm-up aspect of working out. And these training regimes sound pretty awesome if you're doing all this stuff when you're young and you're getting motivated because you're preparing for something. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome to get in shape. It's awesome to go out there and do hard training. However, you need to do it a certain way. Warming up is a big thing. I'm not really going to be talking about that too much in this specific video. I'm going to be talking more on the recovery aspect. But I remember in the Marines when I was doing physical training, we barely warmed up. Basically is a short answer to that. We pretty much never warmed up. If we did warm up, it was normally like, okay, warm up on your own, take like 5 minutes, which would end up just being 2 minutes of people just swinging the legs around, not really understanding how to warm up. In the Army, it's a little bit different. We have the preparation drills, which I gotta say don't really help you too much, especially depending on what kind of PT you're actually doing. If you're going for a run, yeah, you can do some of the preparation drills and that might help you, but most of it's not really going to help you out so much. If you're doing CrossFit, not really gonna help you out that much. So the Army has a better approach as far as forcing people to do these specific warm-ups and sort of trying to keep it dynamic, but it's not really that effective most of the time. It's not really used that effectively. And people generally don't understand the benefits of warming up, because a lot of people don't take those preparation drills seriously in the Army. And in the Marine Corps, again, it's just like, okay, warm up real quick and let's get into it. Let's get into this PT. Let's get into this, hardcore PT. Now you'll come across leaders that will do it right and they'll force you to make sure that you're doing the warm up. However, a lot of times it's not really overlooked that well, and it's not really coordinated that well. So it's just things to keep in mind. Warming up is a big thing. If you're doing anything, if you're doing weight training, it's important to warm up. A lot of people who do weight training understand that. If you're going for a run, definitely need to warm up the legs, warm up your back, and just do everything to try and warm up your legs and get it ready for doing that. The purpose of warming up is just to make sure that your muscles are getting prepared and they're also getting like stretched out a bit. You're not just trying to stretch before a workout or before a run or anything, because if you're just stretching, then you're just pulling the muscle while it's cold, and it's not really the best way to warm up those muscles. You want to do things to move around a lot, work them a little bit, whether it be like going for a jog, doing specific warm-up exercises, because you want to do these exercises to make sure that you're warming up your muscles, making sure you're warming up your tendons and whatnot, just to make sure your body's a little bit more prepared, as opposed to going into like a 9-mile run without doing any warm-ups. And all your muscles are completely cold. They've been at rest for however many hours. Your joints aren't really used to it. They're not stretched out. They're not limber. You haven't really done anything to prepare your body for that. And the same thing goes for like weight training. If you're going to be going to these max repetitions, or you're trying to hit like a personal record, people who generally go for stuff like that understand to warm up. But if your leader is trying to tell you, hey, let's try and see how much you can deadlift, and you're not really used to weight training, if you're not really used to warming up and you don't really do that correctly, then you're probably going to get an injury. So the biggest thing for warming up is trying to avoid those injuries. But recovery is a huge thing. Honestly, however long your workout is, you should spend about as much time doing the recovery. Again, because people think of military workouts and they think of like David Goggins, how he goes on these, these crazy long runs, how he does all this crazy training. But in reality, I mean, a lot of people who understand what he does, they also understand the importance of recovery because he stresses it a bunch. So recovery is very, very important. You want to make sure that you can stretch your muscles out after a run or after a workout. You want to make sure that you can prepare your body for the next workout. Taking in protein, of course, is a big thing. But we have a few tools here, and that's basically what this video is going to be about. It's just finding tools to help you out for your recovery. And you can kind of use some of these tools for a little bit of a warm-up, but that's not really their intended purpose. So we'll start off with the obvious ones. So foam rollers, you can find these in all different shapes and sizes and all that good stuff. But a foam roller is an awesome thing to have. I think if you're in the military or if you're trying to train up to going into the military, you should absolutely have a foam roller. These are great for recovery because, if you're doing stretching, that's great. That keeps you nice and limber. However, getting some compression into your muscles and getting that blood flowing that way is an awesome way to do it. So foam roller is great. For me, I like to use it particularly with like my glutes or my legs, my hamstrings, especially my calves, and even my back. So the foam roller is extremely versatile for just making sure that you can massage those muscles out. And you're basically using your own body weight to use a foam roller. So if you're not, familiar with how to use a foam roller or how to use it for certain body parts, there's, a million videos online that'll help you out. Again, I think the biggest thing is finding the right foam roller, because you have foam rollers like this that are like, knobby. It looks like it'll massage your muscles pretty good. And this one is extremely, extremely firm as opposed to this one. Of course, you want to get something that's relatively dense just so it's actually giving you that compression and actually resisting your body. But if you get something that's too hard, it might not work for you right away, or it might be a little too harsh. If you get something like this that's like kind of knobby, yeah, it's cool. It might feel good for a little bit, but again, it might feel a little too harsh. So it's all about finding the right foam roller for you. I think this one is really good. I don't actually know. So this is a Pro Roller by OPTP. So I'll show you guys that right there. And this is one that I got on Amazon. This was about $60. You can get one like this for probably about $15, $20. So yeah, it all depends on how much you're willing to spend, but having one of these is awesome. It's a great way to really, give you that compression, work out your muscles, work out any knots that might be in your legs. Because of course, if you've done any serious workout or if you're getting into working out, you're going to be extremely sore. And protein is going to help with that, but not nearly as much as stretching and, rolling those muscles out just to try and relax them a little bit more. And again, there's plenty of videos out there that'll help you out. Now here we have the chirp wheel. So you guys might have seen this on Facebook or something. There's a bunch of ads. But basically what this is, it's very similar to a foam roller. It's got like this foam on the outside, and then it's got the hard plastic on the inside. And again, this is like the smaller model. They make like bigger models depending on how much compression you want. So the smaller one is going to be the most rigid. And you can see it's got like this, indent for your spine. So if you're trying to roll out your back, this is an awesome thing. A lot of people, especially with weight training or being in the military, when you're doing a bunch of ruck marches, you're going to get that back pain, and it's usually going to be in your lower back. Sometimes you might get like some upper back pain. So this is an awesome thing to use. Now this is more specifically to, target your spine just because it's got that notch, but you can use it for a bunch of different things. You can use it, whatever you want to use a foam roller for, but it's going to be a little bit harder just because you have less surface area as opposed to this entire foam roller. So this is going to be more for like targeted points, specifically like, your hamstring. If you're trying to get your calves a little bit harder, a little bit more specific, this is a better way to target specific things as opposed to like a full body like the bigger foam roller would use. But this is a great tool. I haven't had it as long as my actual foam rollers, but it does help me out, especially with my back. It just helps, align those muscles. I can't really say it'll like align my spine, and I can't say that all the cracking in my back is really helping me out. But what it does help me out with is getting to those muscles that are hard to reach. So the muscles right around the spine, of course they're going to get a lot of wear and tear, and this is a great way to sort of work those muscles out. You can imagine if I'm just using a normal foam roller, it's pretty much just giving even pressure along the entire, the entirety of my back. So if I get something that can get into those nooks and crannies, it helps me out a little bit better. So this is also a little bit better for like my shoulder blades. But something also nuanced is the Boyrie. So this is a great tool, kind of expensive, so I would try and get this on a sale. But basically, yeah, it's hard plastic. You can see it's got these two, like, I don't even know what you want to call them, like spikes almost. But this is mainly for your psoas muscles. So your psoas are basically, they run along your back, kind of like your back, and then it goes down to your groin. So the Boyrie is basically designed to release those psoas muscles, and it's a great way to do it. It does help out a lot. Of course, it's going to be a little tender if you're not used to that. If you've never, tried to release your psoas or tried to massage them, it's going to be a little bit tender, a little bit hard to get used to that. But once you start using this, then it's amazing. Honestly, once I got this and I started using it on my psoas and other parts of my body, it really helps you out as far as getting to those hard to reach places. The psoas are a big one, but this is a good one for like the shoulder blades as well. Getting in between the shoulder blades. If you want to get it to the muscles around your spine, you can do that. I've even used it on my traps. But yeah, you can basically use it for anything. I use it on the front of my calves, which is amazing. So it is advertised for the psoas muscles, but you can use it for a bunch of different muscles. And this is an awesome thing. This is kind of similar to what you'd see with like a lacrosse ball. If you ever see like recovery balls, those are just made to have specific pressure in one area. And those work pretty well. I think this is just a little bit better because it doesn't move around as much for me. I can just use it without having a lacrosse ball roll around all over the place. But that is a good option. I don't have one of those here right now because I have all this other stuff to supplement. But a lacrosse ball or like, any sort of recovery ball, that can help you for like any hard to reach places or any troublesome areas like your quads or your calves, maybe your lats or, in between your shoulder blades. But yeah, just for those hard to reach places. Now, another thing that's good for like hard to reach places or just overall recovery is a massage gun. So you might see ads for like the Theragun on Facebook or whatever, because if you're into working out, you're going to see a bunch of ads for recovery tools and stuff like that, and usually it's going to be the Theragun. But this is the M3 Pro. This is one that I found on Amazon for about $200, and it had some really solid reviews, so I managed to pick it up. And yeah, it's an awesome thing. So again, a massage gun is going to be very specific. You can use it for full body, and it's a little bit easier because it's a little bit more maneuverable and you're not necessarily using your body weight like you would with these foam rollers. So what you could use it for is like, traps. You can get your lats. You might be able to get behind like your back and get your shoulder blades. You can use it for your legs. You can use it for anything. As long as you can pretty much reach to that part of your body, you can use this relatively effectively. So it's an awesome tool. We can see it's got a bunch of different like attachments you can use. So you have like this double prong if you want to try and use that maybe for like around your spine or something. You have one that's more specific for like deep tissue. You have this other sort of like attachment here. It's just like a hard plastic. And then you have the standard, which is like kind of like a foam ball, which is kind of like an introduction one, I feel like. And of course you have a bunch of different speeds. So if you turn it on, so I don't know if you guys can hear it or see it, but yeah, there's a bunch of different speeds. And yeah, it sounds pretty crazy, but this thing really does work. And I know what you guys are thinking. This is an awesome tool, and it absolutely is. So the M3 Pro, again, this is like $200 as opposed to like the $400 Theragun, but this thing is money. Again, I use it mainly for like my traps, especially if you're wearing like a rucksack or if you're wearing body armor a lot, you're going to get a lot of, tightness in your traps, like knots almost. And sometimes it can get really, really painful. So it's nice to have a massage gun like this, because then you can just get those traps. If you're trying to get your lats, again, if you're doing like anything like pull-ups or any sort of back workouts, you can use that. This is awesome for the legs if you want to hit up specific things. Say you hit like a legs day and all of a sudden your quads are a little bit more sore than your calves. You can use that specifically on there. You can get your hamstrings, you can get pretty much everything with this. So it's a very versatile tool. And when you have those different attachments, it kind of helps out a little bit more. So since you guys can't really like feel it or maybe even see it, depending on the frame rate of my camera and how fast this thing is moving, I'll sort of use it on my foam roller. So this is the low setting. This is a medium. And then this is a high. So yeah, depending on how sore you are, depending on how much you actually use this, will pretty much determine the setting. You probably shouldn't go full speed with the deep tissue massager if you're not used to this thing. But once you start using it and your muscles get, you know, more and more dense, you can start upping the speed, upping the pressure, and then also changing the attachments out. So this is an awesome tool, not necessarily needed, but more specific for those people who are really trying to get the best out of their recovery. So it's an awesome thing. Again, it helps with the blood flow. It helps with, you know, relaxing the muscles out, massaging them out, and yeah, it feels great. Now, another thing to help with like the muscle relaxation are these, you know, these pads. So you can get these now, so you can get hot and cold. So if I want, I can throw this in the freezer and freeze it, so I can sort of, you know, use the cold to help my muscles out. Or I can just throw it in the microwave, and that also will turn it into a heat pad. So depending on what you want, depending on what you really need. So for me personally, what I like to do is I just throw this in the microwave, heat it up, and then I can use it like on my back or something. So using a foam roller and all this other stuff is great, but this is a great way to have like a passive, you know, way to recover a little bit faster. Because if you have that heat, it'll open up those blood vessels and keep that blood flow going in your muscles, just to speed up the recovery and help with the overall soreness. So what I like to do, so if I'm editing or something, I can heat this up, put it like on my back. I've even taped it to my calf, and that helps out. Or I can put it under my hamstring. It's a great way to just have like that passive means of recovery, kind of helps out. Now again, you can freeze this, so I like to do that whenever I do like a ruck march or something, because again, if you're doing a ruck march, your feet are in those boots for potentially, you know, hours upon hours, and they're probably going to get swollen just getting all that blood flow going. So you can freeze this, use that on whatever is swollen or inflamed, and you can just help bring that down, keep some of the pain away as well. And that's a great way to do it. So I like to use it on my feet. I don't really freeze it too much just because I don't like the cold and it's kind of uncomfortable. But cold is a great way, again, to keep that inflammation down, keep you know, your muscles from getting super swollen, and again, it kind of helps with the pain. Now, another way to help with pain and inflammation is stuff like over-the-counter medication like ibuprofen. If you're in the military, you might be very familiar with ibuprofen or Motrin, and it's good, it's versatile. It's not something that you want to go to for long-term situations. So let's say you're doing some weight training and you're just starting off doing weight training. You're going to be sore a lot, but if, you know, every time you get sore, you just use ibuprofen to sort of help with the inflammation or the pain, then it's not really going to help your muscles out in the long run. You need to be using these other tools to help you out as far as like the muscle recovery. Your muscles they're not going to get stretched out if you're not stretching. They're not going to get, you know, warmed up. They're not going to get that compression or that blood flow if you're just using a bunch of ibuprofen over and over again. So it's a great thing to use if you're, you know, trying to help out with, you know, a small injury that's temporary or something. But if you are getting an injury, it's important to realize that and go seek some actual help as opposed to just popping ibuprofen all day. Again, it is very helpful. So for example, I was able to use ibuprofen to help me out with an injury that I got a couple months ago. You know, I was doing some deadlifting, kind of hurt my back, not too bad. So I was able to continue working out, but if I didn't use ibuprofen, my workouts would have been kind of crappy, and I wasn't able to get the full range of motion that I really needed to continue strengthening my back. So of course I was doing my stretching, I was doing my warming up, and I was using everything else that I could to help out those muscles. But the ibuprofen sort of allowed me to, you know, lower the inflammation while I was working out, to allow me to do smaller intensity workouts to strengthen my back. So it's something to help you out. That's not necessarily going to be recommended in most places, you know, as far as continuing to work out if you have a potential injury. But I wasn't necessarily injured as of yet. I kind of just tweaked something, And yeah, it kind of helped me out just to push past that. And then I was able to strengthen my back more and more, and I was able to get back to that high weight, just making sure that I was able to do the correct form every single time. And this just helped with the inflammation. So again, things to consider. It's nice to have all these things come into play for your recovery. Of course, you might not have the money or whatever to buy all this stuff, or you might not have all the room, whatever it is. It's nice to have something to help you with the recovery, whether it be, just a chirp wheel, whether it be just a foam roller, or if you want to just get like a massage gun, whatever it is. It's nice to have something to help you in that recovery. It's nice to get the blood flowing, keep that inflammation down, and make sure that you're not, getting injured and then continuing to work on that injury. Recovery is all about making sure that you can get over an injury, but at the same time, it's making sure that you're not getting injured, because, you might have an incredible workout, not feel bad at all. You might be a little bit sore, and you can use these recovery tools to help you out with your soreness. But if you're just super tight, if you're not working, or if you're not warming up at all, and then you go into another workout, you might get injured if you didn't recover properly, or if you didn't warm up properly. So just things to keep in mind. It's all about not getting injured. And if you do get injured, just to work past it in a smart way to keep that strengthening going, sort of like physical therapy, to keep that strengthening going, but not just stopping completely and letting that injury sort of mess up that muscle and all the muscles around it. So yeah, recovery is a big thing, very, very important. So if you're joining the military, if you're doing anything, if you're an athlete, you're going to need that recovery going, just to make sure that you're not getting permanently injured or just having poor workouts, whether it be ruining your flexibility or whatever it is. You need to try and maintain that flexibility by doing those warm-ups, by stretching. You can see I do have a yoga mat, which all this stuff is laying on. Yoga is a great thing to keep that flexibility. If you're not maintaining any flexibility, then everything is just going to be much harder for you. If you're running, you're going to feel like everything's super tight, like everything's kind of fighting against you. If you're doing pull-ups, it's going to hurt with your flexibility and your range of motion. Basically, everything comes into play when it comes into the military. So you want that strength, you want that flexibility, and you want to warm up and recover just to make sure that you're not getting injured. And especially if you're not doing any warm-ups, or if you're not stretching or doing those recovery exercises, then that injury could be really, really bad and probably kick you out if you're not, careful. You might tear something, you might pull something really badly, you might mess up something. So it's important to keep those warm-ups going, keep that recovery going, so you're not getting kicked out of the military until you can continue your career. There's ways to work around certain injuries and certain long-term injuries, but again, you don't want to be that guy. And yeah, it creates a certain stigma for the Marines and the Army when you're just injured all the time. You don't want to be that guy. I can say that for a fact. I haven't had any specific injuries, like long-term injuries. I pretty much just had surgeries, but it's not fun to be that guy that's constantly on a profile or constantly on light duty just because they got injured. And again, a lot of times it's on the leadership to make sure that they're doing the warm-up and recovery. But things to keep in mind if you're joining the military, if you're in the military, it's important to keep that flexibility, keep doing those warm-ups, keep doing that recovery, so you're not getting kicked out or, potentially injured and kind of mess with your career, whatever you're doing at the time. So yeah, just things to keep in mind. Again, you can pretty much get any combination of this stuff here or any specific item, just not this specifically. But I'd recommend the foam roller. It's a great start. The So Right is an amazing thing for like that trigger therapy, as people want to call it, or you can just get like a lacrosse ball to get that specific deep tissue massage going on. But yeah, there's plenty of options out there, plenty of videos for sure. So just find something that works for you and keep it going. You want to make sure it's consistent so you're able to, recover your muscles and do that proper recovery to make sure that you're ready for the next workouts. But yeah, that's about it for this video. If you guys want any sort of tips or tricks as far as like fitness or physical training, or maybe even preparing for the military, then by all means, let me know and I'll help you out as much as I can. I'm not like a fitness god. I do what I can to make sure that I'm, ready whenever I need to be, but I'm by no means the best. So I'll help you out where I can, but sometimes I might be limited on what I can give you. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you want to see more fitness related videos, I'll try and facilitate that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you got something out of it, and hopefully it can help you out or help your soldiers out. But yeah, there's plenty of tools out there to help you out. But yeah, that is it for this video. So I will see y'all in the next one.